feel like the sport has changed so much that, yeah, of course we trained really hard back in the day. But these guys are never home. I mean, they go from race to altitude camp to race. I think one of the top guys, I won't mention his name, but from the Tour of Romandy to the Tour de France, he's going to be home 4 or 5 days. That's it.
Brutal.
It's brutal. You're either at an altitude camp or you're racing. And I mean, that's hard. I loved my role as a cyclist, and I never took it for granted being a professional cyclist. I always worked as hard as I could, but I feel like I had a little bit of balance where I can come home a bit more than normal guys. And I was able to come back to the US and spend time at home, before the Tour de France. And I feel like that made my career a bit more manageable. I don't know if I can handle it now where these guys are gone all the time.
But like, that's testament to, what did you, 17 Tour de France's? Like, you need the balance to last that long. And that would be my worry. Like, I was on guest on Cyclist Magazine podcast last month, and they were talking to me about Sagan, and they were saying basically Sagan, the flop who's won the world's 3 times. And I was like, if you look at Sagan through a lens of purely pro cycling, you go, yeah, he's gone off the boil. But how much of that is deliberate? How much of it's him saying, you know what, there's other things in my life, and I don't want to be, like you're saying, 5 days at home in a 4-month period. I'm happy to pick up a big paycheck. I'm happy with the level I'm at. I have some cool legacy already, but there's more to life. I don't know what he's into: spirituality, personal relationships, other side hustles he has.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I don't know him personally, but he definitely was part of, my generation as I was ending my career, where there was a lot more balance involved. You were able to come home a lot more than now. So yeah, perhaps we're seeing that where, he may not want nothing to do with all these altitude camps and really just not having a life, so to speak.
Roubaix. We can't talk to Mr. Hincapie without talking about Roubaix. It looks fucking stressful on TV to watch. My blood pressure's up watching this race on TV. Like, the speed you're hitting sections like Arenberg Forest and like the crash that Mitch Docker had a few years and stuff on it. It's stressful to watch. How stressful is it to go into that, like, year after year after year? What, you have like 17 attempts at it?
Yeah.
Every single time you're going in thinking, at a point, you're thinking to yourself, top 10's not even a result here. It's podium or nothing, I'd say.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I'm actually in the same boat you are. When I watch it now, it stresses me out. I get the sweaty palms. I'm like, this is crazy, because I remember it so well. But when I was racing it, I would just go into full, like, sort of warrior mode, where I made the stress, I turned the stress into excitement and motivation. And I knew that without full concentration in a race like Roubaix, there's no chance you're going to do anything. And it wasn't going to be fun. At any moment was it going to be fun at all. But it was going to be, if you didn't plan out the sections properly and you didn't envision how you were going to position yourself in your head, for instance, going into the Arenberg, that's just the only thing. That's the things that got me through it, was just being able to envision beforehand when I was going to move up, how I was going to save energy while moving up, and still entering the Arenberg first in the first 5 guys, which, by the way, in all those 17 years, I pretty much always entered the Arenberg first and at least top 10. And, that's a kind of a small victory in itself, because it's one of the most stressful sectors in all of cycling to arrive in the front. And, I just I found a lot of, not joy. I found a lot of motivation by being able to always be one of the favorites in that race, and never took it for granted.
If you enjoyed this little clip from the podcast, you can check out full episodes of the podcast on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can click up here for another video that I know you're going to love. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next day.